Football is very obviously an insanely physical game. Each play carries potential for someone to get hurt. Occasionally, these injuries cross the line into being career-threatening or worse, while in recent years, stories like Ryan Shazier and Damar Hamlin have captured the public's attention and are tragic. There are scores of injuries that led to paralysis and life-changing events. Today, I wanted to chronicle 10 of the most severe injuries in NFL history. The first injury I wanted to talk about is Kevin Everett, who was a tight end for the Bills in 2007. His rookie season, he slowly made progress toward a starting role. He ended up starting in 4 games for the Bills in 2006, but in his first game of the 2007 season, he suffered a severe back injury that ended his career. In a game against the Denver Broncos, he ended up colliding with Demonic Hickson, who was returning a kick for the Broncos. While attempting to make the tackle, he generated enough force to fracture his cervical spine. Immediately, it was clear this was a serious injury because Kevin had become temporarily paralyzed due to this impact. The medical staff didn't want to move him due to it being a severe neck and back injury, and an ambulance was requested to come onto the field and transport him to the local hospital for an emergency surgery. A few days after this event, the Bills medical director John Marzo came out and said that the injury had caused damage to his spinal cord, and that immediately after the injury, Kevin had been unable to feel anything below his shoulders. Thankfully, the emergency surgery was successful in alleviating the pressure on his spinal cord, and he had feeling in his legs again. It was made clear that there was a very small chance that Kevin would ever even be able to walk again. It was said that there was only a 5 to 10% chance of him ever regaining physical function. Despite the odds, Everett managed to relearn how to walk again, and by December of that same year, he was able to walk on his own for short periods of time. He has since undergone several surgeries to try to address the constant pain he feels in his neck, but the fact he even relearned to walk in the first place was considered a medical miracle. He was never able to play football again, but he still has close ties to the Buffalo Bills organization and makes public appearances to share his story. This next story is about Mike Utley. Mike was an offensive lineman who was drafted in the second round of the 1989 NFL Draft. By the time his rookie season started, he had earned the starting role as right guard for the Lions. He did have several injuries early in his career, but by 1991, he was a solid right guard for the Lions consistently. In 1991, this changed when in November, during a game against the Los Angeles Rams in the fourth quarter, a severe injury occurred while he was attempting to block David Rocker. During the play, he suffered a severe injury to the 6th and 7th cervical vertebrae. He went down immediately as medical staff rushed to his side. At the time, he knew he was severely hurt, but was able to flash the crowd a thumbs-up gesture as he was being attended to by medical professionals. He was taken immediately to the hospital, where doctors discovered the injury to his spinal cord was likely to leave him paralyzed from the chest down for the rest of his life. He was moved to Craig Hospital, which specializes in spinal injuries, and while he was able to make some progress, his legs never regained function. He did manage to regain control of his upper extremities, giving him the ability to use his hands in limited ways. He and his agent decided to open a foundation called the Mike Utley Foundation that supports research to hopefully one day find a cure for paralysis. He ended up winning the Walter Camp Man of the Year award in 2006 as a result of his work to help those who have suffered similar injuries, and his ability to keep a positive attitude despite being dealt an extremely unfortunate hand in 1991. Dennis Byrd was also drafted in the second round of the 1989 draft. It was hoped that he would help replace some of the aging stars on the Jets' defense. He ended up having an incredible rookie season with 7 sacks in 1989, and the following years he followed it up with a 13-7 sack season. At this point, he was a star for the Jets' defense, with a consistently dominant presence no matter what position he played. Despite being moved to defensive tackle and defensive end, he always found a way to make an impact. During a game against the Chiefs in 1992, he attempted to rush Dave Krieg, but Krieg stepped out of the way to avoid the sack. When that happened, Byrd ended up colliding with his teammate Scott Mercereau. He collided with his teammate with so much force that he ended up breaking cervical vertebrae and was instantly paralyzed. He was taken in an ambulance to the local hospital for emergency surgery. Miraculously, despite being paralyzed initially, Byrd was able to make a recovery. He regained his ability to walk through extensive physical therapy, but was unable to ever return to the football field in a playing capacity ever again. Despite this, he didn't harbor any hard feelings to the sport and wound up returning to the Meadowlands in 1993 to walk out to midfield as an honorary captain for a coin toss. The Jets renamed their Most Inspirational Player award to the Dennis Byrd Award, and it's still given out to this day. His number was retired in 2012, but sadly Byrd passed away in 2016 due to a car accident a few days after his 50th birthday. Jeff Fuller was a core piece of the San Francisco 49ers dynasty. From 1984 to 1989, he won 3 Super Bowls as a safety for the team. He managed to have 10 interceptions, 9 sacks, and 5 fumble recoveries through his career. In 1989, during a game against the New England Patriots, he had a collision as a play was coming to an end with John Stevens. The collision instantly broke 3 vertebrae and also tore several nerves in his shoulder and neck. This essentially separated his shoulder and arm from the nervous system of his body. While initially he was paralyzed from the waist down and lost function in his right arm, through his recovery he was able to learn how to walk once again. While this itself was another medical miracle, it wasn't the end of his recovery. The nerve damage to his shoulder was the most extreme part of his injury, and while he went through years of physical therapy to this day, he is still unable to use his right arm functionally. Despite this, he is still involved in the game of football. His son Jeffrey Fuller was a wide receiver who attended his dad's alma mater at Texas A&M. And even wound up having a short professional football career with the Dolphins, Seahawks, and several CFL teams. Despite his father's serious injury, it was clear that football meant an immense amount to the Fuller family. Thankfully, Jeff was able to regain his ability to walk and still shares his story about his recovery with the public and fellow NFL players who have undergone severe injury. Darryl Stingley had joined the New England Patriots as a wide receiver in 1973. He was drafted in the first round, and while he didn't necessarily become a star at receiver, he consistently had solid production as an option in the passing game. Over his career, he had 110 receptions for 1,800 yards and 14 touchdowns across 60 games. In 1977, he had a breakout year with 40 receptions and 650 yards and 5 touchdowns. However, the following preseason in 1978, he suffered an injury that changed his life forever. During a game against the Raiders, Stingley was hit by Jack Tatum. Stingley's helmet smacked into Tatum's shoulder pads and it compressed his spine, breaking his 4th and 5th cervical vertebrae. Immediately, he was paralyzed from the neck down, and he was transported to a hospital for treatment. Unfortunately, the break was so severe that there was no way he was going to regain function in most of his body. While the Raiders had a reputation for hard hits, John Madden and Gene Upshaw rushed to the hospital to check on Stingley. This case was instrumental in guaranteeing players medical benefits through the NFL Player Association, and a settlement was reached with the NFL where the Patriots agreed to pay for all of Stingley's medical bills for the rest of his life. Alongside his children's future education, Stingley was able to recover mobility in his right arm eventually, but spent most of his life paralyzed entirely. He passed away in 2007 at the age of 55, but didn't harbor hate to football, calling the incident a freak accident. Reggie Brown joined the Detroit Lions as a linebacker in 1996. Drafted in the first round out of Texas A&M, Brown was immediately recognized as a strong and dependable presence on defense, showing promise as a key player in the Lions linebacker core. Over the course of his 2-year career, Brown played in 28 games, recording 125 tackles, 2.5 sacks, and an interception, demonstrating his ability to contribute both in coverage and as a pass rusher. In 1997, he was having a breakout season, finishing the year with 81 tackles and solidifying himself as a cornerstone of the Lions' defense. However, during the final game of the 1997 season against the New York Jets, tragedy struck. Late in the 4th quarter, Brown was involved in a routine tackle when he suddenly collapsed on the field. He had sustained a severe spinal cord injury that left him motionless, with the stadium falling silent as medical personnel rushed to his aid. Brown's C3 and C4 vertebrae had been severely damaged, leaving him unable to move or feel below his neck. The scene was harrowing, with teammates visibly shaken and the game ending under the weight of the moment. Brown was immediately transported to the hospital, where emergency surgery was performed to stabilize his spine. Fortunately, due to swift medical intervention and rehabilitation efforts, Brown avoided permanent paralysis and eventually regained the ability to walk, though his football career was over. Although his promising football career was cut short, Reggie Brown expressed gratitude for his recovery and remained involved in the sport, often sharing his story as a motivational speaker. speaker. His resilience and positive outlook became an inspiration for many, showing that even in the face of life-altering adversity, there is strength and perseverance. Ryan Shazier was a rising star in the NFL as a linebacker for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Drafted in the first round of the 2014 NFL Draft out of Ohio State, Shazier quickly established himself as a dynamic and versatile playmaker. Known for his speed, instincts, and hard-hitting style, he was a cornerstone of the Steelers' defense. Over his first 4 seasons, Shazier played in 46 games, recording 299 tackles, 7 sacks, 7 interceptions, and 7 forced fumbles, becoming one of the league's most exciting young defenders. His 2017 season was shaping up to be his best yet, with 89 tackles, 3 interceptions, and a fumble recovery in just 12 games. However, tragedy struck on December 4th, 2017, in a Monday Night Football game against the Cincinnati Bengals. During the first quarter, Shazier attempted a routine tackle, leading with his helmet. As he made contact, his head collided with the opposing player's hip, compressing his spine. Shazier immediately fell to the ground, unable to move his legs. The chilling scene left players and fans stunned as medical personnel immobilized him and rushed him off the field. He was later diagnosed with a spinal contusion. Shazier underwent emergency spinal stabilization surgery to repair the damage. The injury was life-threatening, and it was uncertain whether he would ever regain full mobility. His prognosis was daunting, and the idea of returning to football seemed impossible. However, Shazier's determination and positive mindset shone through as he began the long journey of rehabilitation. Over the following months, Shazier defied the odds. Initially confined to a wheelchair, he worked tirelessly in physical therapy to regain strength and movement. By April 2018, just months after his injury, he walked onto the stage at the NFL Draft to announce a Steelers draft pick, a moment that inspired millions and highlighted his incredible progress. While Shazier's football career officially ended in 2020, his recovery journey has been a testament to his resilience and strength. Johnny Knox was an electrifying wide receiver and return specialist for the Chicago Bears, known for his blazing speed and big play ability. Drafted in the 5th round of the 2009 NFL Draft out of Abilene Christian, Knox quickly became a fan favorite. As a rookie, he made an immediate impact, earning a Pro Bowl selection as a returner after racking up 32.3 yards per return and delivering a 102-yard kickoff return touchdown. Over his 3-year career, Knox played in 45 games, recording 133 receptions for 2,200 yards and 12 touchdowns, while also contributing as a dangerous kick returner. Knox's best season came in 2010 when he led the Bears in receiving yards with 960 yards on 51 catches and helped Chicago reach the NFC Championship game. His deep threat ability and knack for creating separation made him a key component of the Bears' offense. However, Knox's promising career was tragically cut short in December 2011 during a game against the Seattle Seahawks. In the first quarter, Knox caught a pass but was hit hard while trying to recover a fumble after the ball was jarred loose. The collision bent his body backward in a gruesome fashion, resulting in a severe spinal injury. Knox fractured a vertebra and suffered damage to his lumbar spine, which required immediate surgery to stabilize. While he avoided paralysis, the injury left him unable to regain the strength and mobility needed to continue his football career. Knox spent the entirety of the 2012 season rehabbing and working toward a comeback, but the severity of the injury forced him to retire in 2013. He never regained full strength in his back, walking with a noticeable limp even after extensive physical therapy. Despite his career ending prematurely, Knox remained a positive figure, expressing gratitude for his recovery and support from fans, teammates, and the Bears organization. Joe Theismann was one of the NFL's most charismatic and successful quarterbacks, leading the Washington Redskins to sustained success during the 1980s. Drafted in the 4th round of the 1971 NFL Draft, Theismann initially played in the CFL before joining Washington in 1974. Over his illustrious career, he became the face of the franchise, winning NFL MVP honors in 1983 and leading the Redskins to a Super Bowl XVII victory. By 1985, Theismann had amassed 25,000 passing yards, 160 touchdowns, and 2 Pro Bowl selections, solidifying his legacy as one of the most accomplished quarterbacks of his era. However, Theismann's career came to a shocking and tragic end on November 18, 1985, during a Monday Night Football game against the New York Giants. In the second quarter, the Redskins called a flea flicker play. As Theismann dropped back, Giants linebacker Lawrence Taylor burst through the line and sacked him from behind. Taylor's momentum, combined with the weight of another defender, caused Theismann's right leg to buckle unnaturally, resulting in a gruesome compound fracture of his tibia and fibula. The scene was horrifying. Taylor immediately signaled for medical help, visibly distressed by the severity of the injury. Theismann was immobilized on the field and rushed to the hospital, where doctors confirmed the devastating fracture. The injury required extensive surgery to stabilize the bones, and despite rigorous rehabilitation, it became clear that Theismann's football career was over. Theismann's injury became one of the most infamous moments in NFL history, symbolizing the brutal physical toll the game can exact on its players. It also had a profound impact on the league, prompting discussions about player safety and protective measures for quarterbacks. The injury remains a cautionary tale and is often cited in debates about the importance of improving equipment and rules to minimize injuries. Although his playing days were cut short, Theismann went on to have a successful career as a broadcaster and motivational speaker. He used his platform to share his story of resilience, turning a life-altering moment into an opportunity to inspire others. His outlook, humor, and determination have remained hallmarks of his legacy. Alex Smith's broken leg is one of the most harrowing yet inspiring stories in NFL history. A former first overall pick in the 2005 NFL Draft, Smith had become a reliable and respected quarterback during his time with the San Francisco 49ers, Kansas City Chiefs, and Washington football team. By 2018, Smith was leading Washington with his trademark poise and efficiency, keeping the team competitive in the NFC East. However, his career and life took a dramatic turn on November 18, 2018, in a game against the Houston Texans. In the third quarter, Smith was sacked by Texans defenders J.J. Watt and Kareem Jackson, and his right leg bent awkwardly under the weight of the tackle. He suffered a compound fracture of the tibia and fibula, eerily occurring on the same date as Joe Theismann's infamous leg injury 33 years earlier. Smith was carted off the field, and it was immediately clear that the injury was severe. He underwent emergency surgery to stabilize the fracture, but the challenges were far from over. Following the surgery, Smith developed a life-threatening infection in his leg, a complication that required multiple additional procedures to fight the infection and save his limb. At one point, doctors even considered amputation to prevent the infection from spreading further. Over the next 9 months, Smith underwent 17 surgeries and endured intense rehabilitation, not only to recover, but to retain the possibility of walking normally again, let alone playing football. Despite the devastating nature of the injury, Smith displayed remarkable determination and resilience. His commitment to recovery inspired teammates, fans, and the broader sports community. In 2020, after nearly 2 years of grueling rehab, Smith made an improbable return to the NFL. Cleared to play, he worked his way back into the starting lineup for Washington and led the team to a playoff berth, earning him NFL Comeback Player of the Year honors. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, I would appreciate you taking a second to press the like button and leave a comment down below about what you thought of the video. We are trying to hit 10,000 subscribers and would love your support because we post stuff like this often.